In a world where software delivery is rapidly evolving, how can developers keep pace with the rising complexities of cloud-native pipelines while also delivering consistent value? Well, my guest today is Martin Reynolds. He's the Field CTO at Harness, and he believes that the platform engineering and internal developer portals, or IDPs, he believes they hold the key to accelerating digital innovation. So I've invited him on the podcast today to talk about that and also explain how IDPs provide developers with this centralised single pane of glass so they can access all tools and the infrastructure that they need. But also how this approach minimises the time spent on things like repetitive non-coding tasks and how it allows developers to focus on what they do best, building and delivering impactful solutions. So buckle up and hold on tight so I can beam your ears all the way to London, where Martin is going to talk about how these innovations are not just helping to reduce toil, but are also set to disrupt the developer experience and drive transformation in 2024. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Martin. Can you tell everyone listening a little about who you are and what you do?
My name is Martin Reynolds. I am the Field CTO at Harness. Prior to that, I have had 30 years of engineering experience, hands-on coder through engineering manager. And then, most recently, in my previous role, I was director of DevOps at a company called One Advanced before joining Harness late last year to kind of be front and center, talking about the tools and challenges that we help solve. So,
and for anyone listening outside of the industry, hearing about Harness for the first time, well, how would you describe it to non-techies listening?
To non-techies, oh, I love that.
Yeah, maybe a curveball then.
I would say that Harness is a set of tools that help software developers build and publish their software out to their customers and do that in a way that delivers it, safely, securely, and reliably.
And one of the reasons I invited you on the podcast today is I always try and demystify a different topic every day. And I want to talk a little today about the need for platform engineering. So just to set the scene, can you explain the concept of platform engineering and why it's becoming increasingly important for developers, especially in the current climate of rising costs, tightened budgets, in this economic climate that we find ourselves?
Absolutely. And that kind of costing is one of the real drivers, right? Generally software teams, engineering teams, they're trying to, move into public cloud. They want to deliver more value to their customers. And the challenge is, traditionally that takes a lot of toil. And when I say toil, I mean, stuff that isn't developing the software, but all the stuff around it that helps teams do that. Platform engineering, really is something that helps solve some of those problems and takes away some of those, challenges. And it does that really by providing, a development platform where, engineers and software developers can actually have a reliable tool chain and set of workflows and pipelines that allow them to deliver to that platform quickly and take away, some of those tasks that they used to do by automating them and allowing them to kind of deliver reliably on a secure platform.
And another topic I'd love to bring into the audience here is internal developer portals, or IDPs, because they play a crucial role in enabling developers to build at scale. But can you just delve into how IDPs function as a single pane of glass for developers and also the specific problems that they solve in software delivery as well, just to keep everyone on board here?
Sure. So internal developer portal is really, what's the best way to describe it? It's like a gateway into the tools and the platform that and the tasks that developers need to use to allow them to essentially do their job. In fact, one of our customers described an IDP as like an orchestrator of orchestrators. And I think what they meant by that is it provides this single view, one place where developers can go to do all the tasks that they need to do. So, whether that is, getting access to the latest tooling, say they want to have, a generative AI code assistant, maybe they can request access via their developer portal. Maybe they're building a new service, and they need the infrastructure in place and be able to deploy that. And the developer portal will provide them, a kind of out of the box pipeline ready to go that accelerates that delivery and allows them to just write code. It provides visibility on the things that an organization already has. So the services and applications that they have, how well they're running, are they meeting all their security requirements? How regularly are they updated? How do you interface with them to make sure that you deliver, software, reliably and take advantage of what's already there? There's no point in reinventing the wheel, and ultimately the IDP is really putting kind of a wrapper around all of those things. Whether that's the tool chain, the infrastructure they need to deploy to, and what you want is that the engineers can do the thing that they enjoy most. And I say that as somebody who spent many years writing code, it's solving problems and writing the code and delivering that, those solutions is generally what engineers enjoy. And, solving some of those problems around that, by, using a developer portal to kind of automate and facilitate and allow self-service of those things really helps, the developers do the thing that they enjoy most.
So if we were to compare IDPs against traditional development environments, how do IDPs represent this almost evolution from traditional development environments, particularly in terms of things like simplifying complexities involved in cloud native software delivery? Anything you can share around that, just to help people listening understand the old versus new way of doing things?
Sure. Traditionally, development environments tended to focus around kind of, bigger releases, longer release cycles, lots of moving parts. And often, if a company had, say 20 services that made up their application, then they might have 20 ways of delivering it, right? And every team that was working on it needed to know all the 20 ways, right? So that it became, it's difficult. It takes time to do that instead of just delivering the software. And this is where, IDP and platform engineering, really kind of breaks that model and allows kind of development to happen in smaller chunks, delivering to a consistent, platform in a consistent, reliable way, not 20 different ways of doing it, but, 1, 2, or 3 ways of doing it using a golden pathway that allows them to deliver that. And, especially when you're talking about cloud native software delivery, where, the cloud itself is amazing and full of wonderful opportunities of things to build. It's also super complex and there's a lot to learn, and kind of abstracting that away and saying, this is how we deliver to our cloud native solutions. And here's a pipeline that lets your software get deployed there automatically, and it does all the right security checks and governance. Then that's great. It just allows that kind of more agile, rapid approach, to getting, those features and value out to customers of organizations.
We've already mentioned budget restraints, businesses being challenged to do more with less, and it feels like almost every tech project is increasingly under pressure to deliver business value, prove ROI on that project, etc. So in your view, how do IDPs affect developer productivity and the capacity for innovation within organizations? Are you able to share any examples where the adoption of an IDP has marked improved development processes, maybe? I appreciate you probably can't mention any names, but any examples spring to mind there?
Sure. Absolutely. And you're absolutely right. People are generally under pressure to do, more with the same. Yeah. And IDPs and platform engineering together actually help provide that. They enable engineering teams to move quickly, and certainly we have multiple customers where we've seen this really work. There's a particular fintech firm that I have in mind, and they adopted platform engineering and IDP, and it was really to kind of empower the engineers with kind of the knowledge and the insights of all the stages of that software delivery lifecycle. So they could see all the services they were delivering. They could see how they were performing. They could see if they were cost effective, right? Being able to do that, enabled the developers to make better decisions and make them faster, and really kind of, be comfortable that they're doing the right things and that their code meets all the required, quality gates when it's being deployed, because it's built into that single pipeline. I mean, the other one I would also, really mention is we've had, actually multiple large banks who've been working with, kind of IDPs, and, that kind of developer onboarding, we've recruited somebody new. We see that often, that takes time to onboard them into teams, and actually developer portals really help solve that problem. And we've seen, things go from, weeks to hours in terms of, onboarding and getting those engineers being effective and working and involved with those products really, really quickly, instead of kind of a long, slow onboarding process. So, developer portal can really help drive success for organizations.
And for any organisation that's maybe looking to implement IDPs, or maybe we've awakened their curiosity around them today, what are the key considerations that they should be keeping in mind to ensure that smooth transition and maximal benefit from these platforms, and avoid making some of the mistakes that you've probably seen a few people make time and time again?
Absolutely. So I think one of the most common ways to successfully deliver a developer portal is actually understanding who the customer is of the developer portal, if that makes sense. So those platform engineering teams and DevOps teams that are building out the kind of IDP and the platform, they need to be aware that they are servicing, many developers in their organization. Maybe that could be hundreds or it could be thousands, depending on the size of the organization. And those engineers have very high expectations. They have tools that they're used to using, and they have ways of working that they're used to doing. And so understanding their needs and then building the IDP to service those needs and make their lives easier, is definitely a way to drive the choices that you make around that. Actually understanding and talking to them and treating them like a customer. In fact, we had somebody from a very large bank in the US who was, he equated directly kind of that developer happiness, that developer experience that the engineers have to his customers' success and happiness, because he felt that when the engineers were happy and they had the tools that they needed and their job was easy, they did better work, and that actually reflected in the customers getting better software that they enjoyed using more. And so kind of embracing that and embracing the fact and treating the engineers as customers when you do that is really how you drive success and help them, understand the value of using the IDP so that they truly adopt it and embrace it.
Of course, implementing any new system will come with a unique set of challenges, and there'll be a lot of hurdles that companies face when adopting IDPs. Any of those that you can share as well, and how, of course, you're helping business leaders overcome some of these hurdles?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest issues is that there's a lot of tools out there that engineers use in their software delivery life cycle, whether that's security testing tools or the code editor that they use, or, the multiple different cloud environments, or the unit or the testing software that they use, and honestly, any IDP that, that somebody is implementing needs to, really be able to integrate with all of those tools, integrate with the existing infrastructure, and provide a way to rapidly, provide those to the customers. And that's something that we very much focus on, is being able to integrate with all the tools that people use to facilitate that, so that you're actually, again, kind of looping back to the previous question, we're making sure that, the engineers are getting the experience that they want, that helps them adopt it. And that's really how part of how you can really drive that forward. because you just need to keep it, make using those tools simple for the developers so that, they don't have to learn something new. They just, can take away some of the toil and the effort and the labor around using the tools that they're familiar with.
And I'm curious, as you look ahead, how do you see the role of platform engineering and IDPs evolving? Are there any trends or technological advancements that you think will further shape their development? I think AI is an obvious one, but what are you seeing here?
Yeah, so I was going to say you can't answer that question without talking about AI,
Yeah.
and it's really impacting. I mean, it's very interesting because and I think this is an approach that we at Harness take across the board. We have an AI assistant called Ada. But one of the things that we're really trying to do with that is we don't want it to get in the way. We don't want it to replace what the developers do. What we want to do is make it an assistant, truly an assistant. And I think the best AI tools that are out there and generative AI tools that are out there, help developers do their job better. And, whether that is, accessing, acting as a co-pilot for generating code, or maybe, telling them how to resolve a security issue in their code, maybe, helping them identify the right pipeline to use to deploy their code. These are all things that generative AI can help with and take away some of those kind of toil steps. And I think we're going to see more and more and more of that, through the kind of the process. Certainly, that's where we're looking with the generative AI that we do. We already do some of that, like security resolution stuff. We do summarizing of pull requests, when a developer makes a change, filling in and kind of looking at the change that they made and writing a human readable description of that change, that they can then spend less time doing. They can then just review that and accept it and modify it. Again, helping them do their job rather than replacing their job. In terms of an IDP, it's something that I ultimately think will end up being embedded in the IDP to kind of help them deliver. Because, being able to, instead of browsing the IDP, just ask the IDP where to go. I think that's long-term where I think it's going to be.
And one of the things that stood out for me around Harness as IDP is how it's built for developers and crafted by platform engineers. So what advice would you give to any developers and organizations to best prepare for the changes and opportunities that platform and IDPs present in the future? Anything that excites you here, or any advice that you would give to anyone listening? Because I suspect you get asked a lot of the same questions again and again. So maybe we can put some of those to rest today.
Sure. So, one of the things that we often talk about is this kind of embracing shift left. But I often think that shift left is interpreted the wrong way. I think we've done engineers a disservice by the implication that shift left means shifting the work left. I don't think that that's the case. I think really what shift left is, it's about shifting the information left so that the developers have the right information at the right time in context when they're working on something, not, I built this thing and 5 days later, somebody's done a security test and I've already built 3 more things since then. And I don't really remember what it did, right? And they have to context switch. No, they should absolutely kind of have that kind of smart working and shifting that information left, because they really do need those insights, and it helps them deliver more faster. It helps them innovate if they've got the right information at the right time. Looping back to that previous example that I gave, where they can, they've got all the right information and it's in context and they can make smart decisions to build great software.
Another question I've got to ask you, because I think there's a lot of pressure on everybody in every industry to be in a state of almost continuous learning. I was reading before you came on the podcast today how developer skills are evolving with working with AI as a co-pilot of sorts. So there's different levels of skills required there. But I've got to ask, how or where do you self-educate to keep up to speed with some of these changes? Because it's moving so fast right now.
It is moving incredibly fast. And I will prefix my answer to this with the fact that, one of the things I loved about working in software delivery over the past 30 years is that rate of innovation and change makes it very exciting.
Yeah.
Because there's always something new around the corner. where do I get my information from? Where do I see what the trends are? Well, actually, it comes from multiple places. Spend a lot of time talking with our customers, getting their feedback, understanding their goals, and the things that they see coming that they need to deliver on. But also, I read a lot of industry news. I listen to podcasts like this one and others. I read a lot of blogs and articles from, within the different communities. It's something that you have to make time for. I think if you're going to work in engineering and you're going to work in software, wherever you are in that tool chain, I think it is it's kind of required to make time to learn and to see what's coming. And, you don't have to be an expert in it, but you do need to, at least understand it so that you can then, dive deeper if you need to, if that's what your job requires. Then definitely doing that and, keeping that broad understanding and then diving in when you need to really, it is really kind of essential to kind of that moving forwards, constantly, which appears to be the world of, working in software engineering, constantly moving forwards, constantly improving, constantly iterating.
Fantastic advice. And if anyone listening would like to explore this world of IDPs further, whether it be connecting with you or your team or just having a look at the work that you're doing at Harness there, where would you like to point everyone listening?
I would absolutely like to point them at harness.io, which is our website, which has our blogs. It has customer case studies. You can sign up to a free tier on there. I would also call out, we regularly run kind of hands-on labs for people, CI/CD days, which essentially, lets them come on, use the tool, build something and deploy something, all within an hour and a half. So I would definitely point people at those too. And you can find the information about those events, on our website.
Awesome. Well, I'll add links to everything so people can find you nice and easy. And cannot thank you enough for coming on today. We covered a lot there, from the rise of platform engineering as developers look for ways to accelerate digital innovation against this backdrop of rising costs and tightened budgets, and also why IDPs are becoming crucial to ensuring developers can build at scale without facing an increasing toil, owing to the rising complexity of software delivery pipelines right now in this AI and cloud native era that we find ourselves, and also for showing how this growing trend is going to further disrupt the developer experience and accelerate transformation, not just here in 2024, but beyond too. But just thank you, Martin, for demystifying that space and sharing your insights with me today. Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
So a big thank you to Martin for sharing his insights into the transformative power of platform engineering and internal developer portals. And I think he provided a clear picture of how these innovations empower developers to navigate cloud-native complexities, streamline workflows, and unlock rapid software delivery. And to everybody listening, how do you see platform engineering and IDPs impacting your organisations? I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences and join this crucial conversation. And you can do all that by simply emailing me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, just at Neil C. Hughes. But I'm afraid we've reached the end of this episode. I've taken up far too much of your time today, especially because I want to invite you to join me again tomorrow. So I'm going to let myself out, and I cordially invite you to join me again tomorrow. But thanks as always for listening, and until next time, don't be a stranger.